So let's talk about decentralized file storage and cryptocurrency. This may be a category that you think isn't really that attractive or sexy, as they say. You might think, well, the multiples aren't going to sky high. It's not like AI. It's not like gaming. However, these are companies that are executing and executing well and are generating revenue. And while you might think this is somewhat of a commodity, it's something that is definitely needed. It makes perfect sense for moving from a Web 2 to a Web 3 decentralized storage. This is crypto for the rest of us. If you haven't seen this before, I do this 6 days a week, sometimes more often, going over all types of cryptocurrency, tips, tools, coin analysis, you name it. And I always have to say, big dumb animal, don't do what I do, but we're going to get into decentralized file storage. I think this is huge. If you're my age and you're in software or tech, you've probably seen how the migration of things since the beginning of the web have happened. In one of my first businesses, we had our own rack. And on that rack, we had our own servers for file storage, the web servers, database servers, whatever it may be. And then as things grew, of course, you had to do load balancers. And then over time, you realized, well, and this was just if you were, let's say, in the US, I'm in the US. At that point in time, we thought it made sense to lease and rent some servers in other locations of the US, trying to get your website closer to the people who are using it. Then over time, people said, you know what? The actual, let's say, web pages, this was a while ago, are fairly small in size. What's the largest size things on the site? Well, that's the files, maybe images. Images are much larger. Okay, so we don't have to necessarily spread out the web pages all throughout the US, but let's move the images and graphic files, and all sorts of services came up that would take your images and spread them among their servers, kind of what they would call edge servers, really close to people, so that those larger files are much closer to them and they'd have a faster response time, etc. Take a load off your main servers that are running, let's say, the web pages and database, whatever it may be. Okay. And then, of course, video came along. That wasn't that long ago. I mean, YouTube hasn't been around that long, and those files are huge, and they need a completely different network because the size of those files were gigantic. So now here we are with Web3 file storage. The idea being, you've got people, whether they run their own little web company or they've got multiple computers at their business, whatever it may be, people can utilize some of their unused space. They can sign up for one of these services, and now you have decentralized, meaning you're not going through one company. You're not going just to AWS, Amazon, using their cloud services to put your files all over their network, one point of entry, so to speak, centralized. You're going through one of these services, and your files and everything is now distributed all over the world. Theoretically, cheaper price, that sort of thing, and you don't have one company that could shut you down if they no longer want you to be running. Okay, so the idea of decentralized file storage makes complete sense. It's perfect for Web3. It's perfect for crypto. It may not seem that sexy, but they're doing quite a bit of storage and making quite a bit of money. So we're going to go over a bunch of these in the storage category and focus on 4 and some of the recent statistics, and then which ones I think, for me, look the best. All right, that was a long intro, but just to give you a little background. CoinMarketCap, if you're not familiar, you go on, you pick the category. I'm in the category of top storage tokens. Some of these are also in a peer-to-peer category. This isn't so much peer-to-peer file sharing like a BitTorrent, even though that's on this list, as it is spreading your files, decentralized storage. Okay. The first one is Filecoin. Let's take a look at Filecoin. Market cap 2.6 billion. Fully diluted market cap 8.56. Only about 1/4, 25% or so of their coins are actually out there in circulation. So if we look at Filecoin, it's been around for a bit. The tokenomics, as they say, between now, today, and next year, some middle of next year, 2025, it's not a huge difference. It's very slow in terms of coins that are coming out. Filecoin decentralized storage system project raised $200 million in 2017 under an ICO, initial coin offering. They planned a launch date for 2019. However, the launch date was pushed back, and it was 2020. Okay. And they go through Filecoin and how it works. I'm not going to get into all of that. It's pretty straightforward. Let's look at what's next on the list. We have Arweave. Arweave is a decentralized storage network. Okay, so there's the second one on the list. BitTorrent, more of a peer-to-peer. I'm not going to look at that one. AIOZ, more focused on the AI space and not just storage, also computing. Then we have this HOLO, I guess, HOT. It's more for hosting of dApps. So it's sort of specific. So I'm not going to focus on that one. Siacoin. Now, Siacoin is blockchain-based distributed decentralized cloud storage platform. That's the third one we're going to look at. It is in the same space. Flux is more decentralized computing. Storj is the fourth one we're going to look at. Storj is an open source cloud storage platform, decentralized network of nodes to host user data. So those are the four on this top list we're going to look at, because if you notice overall, in terms of how they rank among all coins, even though these are in the top, let's say 10, Filecoin's 42, Arweave 74, and then the next two that are really in this space, in my opinion, are I'm just going to call it Siacoin 184 and Storj 283. Okay, now let me throw up some stats on these four. You can see here total data stored for Filecoin. This is as of November 2024, the information I could find. I used ChatGPT to go out and find it for me. Makes sense, right? 14 million terabytes or 14 exabytes of data stored. That's impressive. Arweave, total data stored, 1 million terabytes or 1 exabyte. Let's look at it in terms of millions. You got 14 million on Filecoin. You got 1 million on Arweave. Storj, you've got 500,000 terabytes. And then Siacoin, you have 250,000 terabytes. All right, so there's a huge difference between those four and how much they're storing. Now let's look at some recent news. Two of them, Aether, partners with Filecoin. This was September of this year. I'm making this on November 17th. I should always say that. September 20th, Aether partners with Filecoin to solve some GPU storage, boost AI. That's a big deal. If you want to grow fast, instead of going after one user or two users or however your marketing works, you go after a company, partner with them, and they have a lot of users. Great way to grow quickly. Then you have Storj, which joined. I thought this was interesting. It says 3 months ago, they worked with Kudos, joined forces to improve AI, compute, and storage. You might say, that sounds familiar. Yeah, because Kudos just joined the Artificial Superintelligence Alliance. And that happened just recently. So both of them have made some pretty decent, I guess you would say, joint ventures to help grow their user base. Okay, now let's go over their valuations. Filecoin. Almost all their coins are out. So there are 2.6 billion market cap currently, and then 2.9 billion fully diluted, number 42. Arweave is about half that, 1.15. Basically all their coins are out, 1.15 billion. They're number 74. Then we've got the Siacoin, 307 million. All their coins are out. They're number 184. Storj, 190 million. Fully diluted, 450 million. They're number 285. So here's what's interesting. We've got Filecoin at 14 million terabytes and Arweave at 1 million. Now, Arweave is half of the valuation of Filecoin, but they're only doing 1/14 of the amount of data stored. All right. So either Arweave is potentially too high in valuation or Filecoin is too low. Let's look at the next two. You've got Siacoin only doing 250,000 terabytes, a fourth of a million. So what's Filecoin doing then compared to them? 56 times the amount. And Siacoin is 307 million versus 2.6 billion. Good grief. That's not that far off, even though the amount of data is significantly different. Storj is doing 500,000 and they're only a 200 million market cap. Not looking at fully diluted, but 200 million market cap. So, excuse me. So 200 million times, I guess around 13 would get you to 2.6 billion. So what's my opinion here? And I should say I do own Filecoin because personally, even though this may not be something you think is going to 20x or 50x or who knows, maybe not even 10x, to me, I like to diversify. And I like to sometimes diversify in things that I think are a little safer. I believe this may not do huge multiples. I'd be happy with a 5x, to be honest with you. These are businesses in a category that could be looked at as a commodity, meaning what do each one of them have? They have storage space. So they're not really going to compete on technology, maybe a little bit, but for the most part, a lot of people that are looking to store files are maybe just going to look at price, what's the cheapest, apples to apples, so to speak. However, Filecoin, for whatever reason, maybe it's first mover advantage, maybe it is technology, I'm not sure. Maybe it's some of the joint venture deals they've done, but they're doing 14 times what looks like the next competitor and way more than the other competitors. So I own Filecoin. That one seems like a no-brainer to me. It's in the top 100. It's a commodity that's generating quite a bit of revenue. It's really executing well. It may not have a huge multiple, but it's in a fairly safe zone for me. I have not decided whether or not I'm getting any of these other coins, but if I were to do it, I'd probably go with Storj because they just did that deal with Kudos not too long ago. And they're 200 million market cap. So they are doing significantly less. However, in terms of amount of storage, they're significantly less in terms of their market cap. So they have room to grow. If they execute well and they're able to bring on a lot more customers, I think they might do a larger multiple. But depending upon how you spread out and how much you have to spread out, if you had to pick one in this category, I should say if I had to pick one, I would just go with Filecoin. First mover advantage. They've got most of the people. And oftentimes in companies and people say, who are we going to use for such and such? Well, if you don't want to get fired, you pick the number one, whether or not it's the best, because no one fires you for picking the number one in that industry. So Filecoin's doing 14 times the amount of storage as Arweave, and they're only twice the size in market cap. So if I were to pick a long one, I'd go with Storj. Otherwise, for me, it's Filecoin. I hope this was helpful. I believe this is a good way to diversify. At least that's how I look at it. Maybe not looking for huge gains, but I do believe there will be gains. I don't see this service ever going away. I see it only growing, and it appears that Filecoin is number one by every metric you can look at for decentralized storage. Thanks for watching. Hope this is helpful. And I always say, I hope we can all make generational wealth together with crypto. Have a great day.